The memories here. Our kids grew up here. Some of our best friends have been made here in this place. There have been moments that were highlights for us that are going to be hard to duplicate.
That was President Obama looking back on his 8 years living in the White House with Steve Kroft on 60 Minutes. And now, with just days left in office, many are looking ahead to the lasting impact of both the president's achievements and failures. Michael D'Antonio is the author of A Consequential President, the legacy of Barack Obama, and he joins me in studio now. Michael, thanks for being here.
Thank you.
Let me start off by asking you about the way in which you view the president's achievements. You essentially broke up your book into chapters chronicling what you consider his biggest achievements: health care, progress, you say, on energy, recovery after the economic recession. If you had to pick one, Michael, what would you say would be the most impactful achievement of President Obama?
Well, I think he did impactful things on several levels, but domestically, I think saving the economy. These are often achievements that he notched in the first 2 years of his 8 years in the White House, and it's hard for us to remember how bad it was, but we were in double-digit unemployment. The stock market was in free fall. People were losing their homes by the millions, and he did stabilize things and then get the recovery going, and that was a big achievement.
Besides writing about President Obama's successes, you also have a chapter dedicated to sort of unfinished business and failures, as you put it, like questions on race relations, the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan. You wrote that, quote, where he fell short, he made a true effort. President Obama, coming into office, had made some pretty big promises, which he in some instances failed to keep. He promised, for instance, that he would close Guantanamo. Guantanamo is still open. What does that tell us, you think, Michael, about the office itself and about President Obama?
Well, I think President Obama was a bit naive about what he could accomplish. Washington was gridlocked then, and it is even more gridlocked now as he leaves. And this is, I think, one of his biggest frustrations. A promise like closing the detention center at Guantanamo was unrealistic. He had a Congress to deal with. It was a political football. Anytime you touch the issue of terrorism and the response to 9/11, you're going to have a fight on your hands. And I think that was proven to him over time. He's even admitted that he was a little too optimistic about what was possible for a president alone.
And on race relations, it's interesting. You point out there was severe criticism from the left that President Obama experienced. Tell us about that, because you say on that issue for President Obama, it was a no-win situation.
Well, I've been in some forums where I've sort of defended him on race relations, and African American and Hispanic citizens have told me, no, he's really dropped the ball there. And they see, well, he didn't do enough for our communities. And then there are many working class white people who feel that he alienated them. So again, this is a guy who was a moderate in all senses of the word. I don't think he was going to be radically transformative in the area of race. And then when he got there, he wound up being rather polarizing. And I think that's a thing that no one expected.
I want to turn to today. You've also written about the president-elect in an unauthorized biography called The Truth About Trump. What do you think that Mr. Trump's victory means for President Obama's legacy?
Well, obviously, much of what he put forward and achieved, especially the Affordable Care Act, is threatened and likely to be changed dramatically. I don't think that we're going to go backwards on things like energy policy, on the environment. The air that's cleaner and the water that's cleaner is not going to get any dirtier, we hope. Where we see the climate change agreement being threatened, or the agreement with Iran on nuclear weapons development, those are profound issues, and I expect that President Obama is going to see some of his policies rolled back.
Well, Mr. Trump is going to be sworn in, of course, on Friday, and he essentially makes news every time he tweets. I wonder if there's something, based on your observations of President Obama and Donald Trump and the office of the presidency itself, is there something you think we should be watching for in particular as the days move on here?
Well, I think we should be hoping for a little bit less heat from Donald Trump and a little bit more listening. You know, he needs to be the president of all the people. This is something that President Obama attempted. I think it was hard for him. It's going to be even more difficult for a president who's tweeting about how his enemies, which is one thing he tweeted on New Year's Eve, should consider themselves defeated. You know, this is the president for all of the people, and I'll be looking forward to seeing if he can be that.
All right. Michael D'Antonio, thank you so much for your
Thank
perspective.
you.
Appreciate it.